Hello, Let's Do Video viewers. Welcome back. I'm excited because today we have a technology discussion. A lot of times here we talk about product, but this is about something that's really different. So, first time in the Let's Do Video boardroom, James from Nureva. James, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Nureva?
Yeah, my name is James Rempel. I'm Director of Product Management at Nureva. And Nureva is a relatively small technology company. We're about 150 people, and we focus on audio conferencing. And what really sets us apart is we're really working on how to make it easier to deploy high quality audio conferencing capabilities in large spaces like large meeting rooms and classrooms.
Oh, large meeting rooms, like this one.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
need some
David,
help
I like
because,
what you've done with the place.
uh,
You
you know,
must
the,
spend a lot of time dusting.
I'm renting this out, $100,000 a month. This is the penthouse suite. But I have problems because I don't want to drill holes in the table. I don't want to dangle things from the ceiling. I don't want cables everywhere. I want something nice. So we have you've lent me a demo unit. We have installed above. That's nice and clean. That's what I want. But before we talk about the product, we need to get into the technology because my understanding is, okay, my viewers know there's two ways to do audio. You put a microphone in everyone's face, or you use
Yeah,
those beamformer things and you shoot beams at everyone. And you're telling me this is neither. And you're saying
that's
it's not
right. It's
just
a
a marketing
new,
thing. It's actually not either. So what is this?
yeah, it's a new way of processing audio developed in-house at Nureva, and it's covered by a broad suite of patents. And it's all about extending the range between the physical microphones and where people are talking. And the way beamforming does that is that it really focuses pickup in a certain direction. But the challenge with beams is that they theoretically extend indefinitely and they get bigger as you get further away from the microphone array. And so that limits practically how big a range you can cover with a beamforming array on a wall. In a large room, by the time that beam hits the back of the room, it's pretty big. It's picking up a lot of unwanted noise. So the approach for using beamforming to cover larger spaces has been to use ceiling-mounted beamforming microphone arrays. And typically, for a large space, you might have multiple beamforming arrays in the ceiling. The advantage with the ceiling is that the beams are mostly pointing down and they have a natural limit. But the challenge with that is it gets really complicated and expensive to install multiple devices in a ceiling. And then you need a DSP to combine it all together to create a complete audio system. And then you need speakers still. So we developed microphone mist to make it easier. And unlike beamforming, the way microphone mist works is that it's actually focusing on focusing microphone pickup on points in space in the room. And we call that a virtual microphone. And so a virtual microphone is essentially a point in space where we can programmatically focus microphone pickup. And so the way our products work is that we have these microphone speaker bars that mount on the wall. They have an array of physical microphones, and that's all connected to a really powerful processor that runs our microphone mist algorithms. And through microphone mist, we take the feed from those physical microphones and generate thousands of virtual microphones that cover the space. And so there's really two processes that run in parallel. The first process is a targeting process where we monitor all of those virtual microphones in parallel at the same time, looking for the strongest, clearest signal. And once we identify that strongest, clear signal, then the second process kicks in, which is the pickup process. And so we focus pickup on that virtual microphone. We do echo cancellation, noise reduction, and send it off to the far side.
So it really is in sending beam. It's funny the way I remember to pronounce Nureva is as the ray, but you aren't shooting the ray. I'm from New Jersey, so sometimes I want to get it wrong, but it isn't rays. I've created a little using my video and magic. This wasn't easy to do. I had to have a plugin programmer, and this is a feature to a plugin. But we have our magic. Is it okay if I call them magic hidden micro? I don't know. It seems like they're magic little microphones that they're already there.
It's not magic. It's just
It's science.
technology. Yeah.
So this is more, and this is a silly representation, but this is more of what it's about than rays or beams.
Yeah. Again, think of these an array of or a field of virtual microphones that cover the space, and each virtual microphone is essentially an area where we can focus microphone pickup.
Okay, so I'm with you. I got it. I got how the technology is different. Now, when someone says how you do audio, there's three ways to do audio. There's microphone, there's beams, and there's mist. But since this is so new, I need some help with how it works on practice. Your team sent me some great animations here. First, I need to understand, where does this mist live? Is it just floating in front of? How much of the room does it cover here? Is it just kind of floating in front of the bar, or where's the mist?
Yeah, no, these virtual microphones are evenly distributed throughout the room,
So
and
it
so
fills the
the
room.
big yeah, and the big benefit here is that it means that you can cover a large space uh, with one or two easily installed wall-mounted microphone speaker bars. And the benefit for people in the room is that they don't have to worry about where the microphones are. They can have a natural conversation anywhere in the room and know that they're going to get picked up.
Yes, when people say that it covers the room, a lot of times we're talking about small rooms or part of the room or a quarter of the room. But again, since we're paying rent on this place, we might as well show off. You're talking about rooms like this with one or two bars.
That's right. Yeah, our HDL 310 has one microphone and speaker bar that you mount on the wall, and it covers spaces up to 30 feet by 30 feet. And then our HDL 410 has two microphone and speaker bars, and it can cover spaces up to 35 by 55 feet, which is really a good sized classroom, actually.
Now, this, in today's AI world, I think our viewers are kind of assuming this, but let's just make sure it's in place. All these microphones aren't all on at the same time. I mean, there could be a lot of stuff happening in the room. I'm assuming you have some sort of algorithms to know where to which non-magic microphone to turn on at once.
Yeah, well, that targeting process I mentioned operates really quickly. It cycles 10 times a second. So every 100 milliseconds, it's looking for the next target, and so it's plenty fast enough to follow a conversation in a room and make sure everyone's heard.
Yeah, and to be honest, you've demoed this to me before, and I've had you in the screen back here where you've been in a space walking around, and it doesn't sound like microphones are turning on and off as you go to different, or a traditional room as you walk through them, it gets quieter and louder. It sounded like you were holding a microphone and walking with it.
That's right. Yeah, the system automatically, as someone moves about the room, it will automatically select new virtual microphones to target, and the whole process is quite seamless.
Yeah. Now, a question here from my AV audience. I speak at Avixa and do webinars for Avixa for Infocom. So we have a lot of AV people on the ground here. They're the ones who do the hanging and the banging. They set these things up, and I know audio can be tricky. I've been in situations. Okay, it's gotten better, but in the old days, you move the microphone to get your glass of water, and someone runs out from behind and says, "Don't touch anything. What did you do? It took me 6 hours to configure the audio in this room." So what is the process like for setting up one of these rooms for calibrating?
Yeah, audio is really hard because the room is always part of the equation, and you have to calibrate an audio system to account for the acoustics of the room, and the acoustics of the room will change, whether it's empty or full of people, or when someone draws the drapes of the windows, or if the furniture gets moved, that can impact the acoustics. And Nureva audio systems have a feature that we call automatic continuous calibration. And the way it works is that we emit a low level, sounds like white noise. It's actually structured sound impulses that come from the speakers, and they reflect off the surfaces in the room. And then those impulses get picked up by our microphones. And so we continuously adapt to the changing acoustics of the room. And we know that these days people like to use the rooms for different purposes and have the flexibility to change the layout, change the use case of the room. We're seeing a lot of furniture on casters, for example. And so the benefit of continuous auto calibration is that the acoustic calibration is always up to date.
Nice. I was hoping you were going to say that I just press a button and it recalibrates, but this is even better. I don't want to press a button, and it can be.
Exactly. We do have a fast calibrate that you can do during install, but once you've done that, it will continuously update.
Yeah, because people, someone drags a plant into the room. I mean, that
Exactly. Yeah.
just a little thing like that. So, a couple other topics I want to cover. We might not have time to fully get into it, but it's really important, especially for our video centric audience here at Let's Do Video. They're very interested in if you have partnerships with our friends, the camera vendors, camera companies, because we love the auto tracking. That's very, very important to us. Oh, I complain about it over and over and over again. In a room like this, I do not want this to be my camera angle. Everyone else is on Zoom and they're full screen and they look amazing and they're full impact, and I'm like a little tiny person at the, I need tracking, I need intelligent cameras, and it's great if they're working with with the audio. And the other thing I want to confirm is, and I see the logos here, certification is, we've talked about it here over and over again. It's not just a marketing thing. Zoom and Microsoft are serious about this. They make them do work to make sure it gives a great experience. So what can you say can you help us out on those two topics?
Of course. Well, let's start with camera tracking. And so I think it's becoming really common that people expect in larger rooms that there's not just one camera, there's multiple cameras covering the space, so that remote participants always get a great view of what's going on. But what camera do you choose to send to the far end, and what view do you choose? One of the best ways of doing that is by following the conversation. Generally, the person who's talking is the person the remote participants want to see, and the way to do that is by tracking acoustically where the sound is coming from. And by virtue of the way our microphone mist technology works, we know where people are talking in the room. And so we can export that data using APIs to camera companies who've developed their own camera tracking solutions, so that they can intelligently switch between cameras, switch camera views to follow the conversation in the room.
Nice. And certifications.
Yeah. So you're right. Both Microsoft and Zoom have rigorous certification programs where they test the products, make sure they work well in the meeting rooms they cover, and they're, again, very rigorous tests. There's both kind of real world testing and testing in acoustic labs. And the fact that, for example, with Microsoft Teams, the Nureva HDL 310 is the only microphone and speaker bar, wall-mounted solution that is certified for large rooms, and the HDL 410 is the only, again, wall-mounted microphone and speaker bar solution that's certified for extra large rooms. The only other solutions that are certified are again, multi-component beamforming solutions that are much more complex to install, or tabletop microphones, which have a lot of challenges with cabling and wiring and impede the flexibility of the space.
Yeah, that is a big deal. I mean, there's definitely a lot of bars out there that have certification, but large spaces are a challenge. And like I said before, I don't want to start drilling holes in my table here. I don't want to start hanging things from the ceiling if I can avoid it. So the fact that you're the only simple solution. And there's one thing I forgot. Speaking of simple solutions, usually when I install a bar like that, I need something called a DSP, a digital signal processor, to process the audio in it. And that's a separate box, and it's scary, and it goes in a rack somewhere, and I have to network to it, and it has lights on them that no one is sure what they do. And I have to hire someone way smarter than me to program it. Otherwise it sounds really, really bad. So I was looking on your website. I don't see, where do I get the DSP? How does that work?
Yeah, that's right. With Nureva audio conferencing systems, we're really focused on simplicity, and so we've built all of the audio processing functionality right into the product. So it's a simple USB connection to your compute device, running a UC&C client or or BYOD hub. So yeah, echo cancellation, noise suppression, mixing, that's all taken care of with the microphone mist technology and the onboard processing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be the only one out there who doesn't miss doesn't miss having to work with the DSP. Those things are tricky. All right, so we're going to put some links down in the description. Anything else we need to share with our viewers?
No, I think we covered the high points. Yeah, thank you very much for having me in your lovely meeting room here.
Yeah, great to have Nureva here, and I think I got it right. Despite being from New Jersey, remember it doesn't have a Ray, but it has a Ray in the name, Nureva.
Exactly.
All right, thanks everyone for watching. Please like and subscribe.